Good evening, and thank you for attending the Region 31 All-Region Monitor meeting. This is the online version of a meeting that we will review in detail the night of the All-Region audition. I'm your host, Mr. Miller, excited to talk with you, and here we go. We'll be talking specifically about the rounds that are hosted in the afternoon, though the times may change just a little bit. So keep in mind, look at your email for the exact times on these, as like I said, they might change just slightly. We're going to meet at 4:30 p.m. and all you need to do at 4:30 is pick up a packet from the contest office. When auditions are held at CHS, which the vast majority are this year, you'll stop by Student Services near the cafeteria back commons, and you'll pick up an envelope from us or a manila folder at that time. You'll report to the room and begin signing students in. I'll do a little more detail on that here in a moment. At about 5 o'clock, you're going to take a break from signing students in to come join us back where you picked up the packet so we can do a brief meeting on all of the process and procedures moving forward from there. As well, at that time is a good opportune moment to grab some dinner. You can grab it and eat while we do the meeting, or if you'd like to do the meeting and then take it back over to the audition room, that's fine too, whatever's easier for you. The monitor meeting usually lasts about 15-20 minutes, as will this one. Starting, so here's a little more of a detailed plan, kind of walking you through what you can expect. Starting at just about 4:30, you'll go to the room and the students are going to come to you and they're going to begin signing in. The sheet you're going to have has all of their names listed alphabetically, and it lets them know what letter they will be performing as. They're going to find their name alphabetically on the list, and at that point you'll let them know, okay, if your last name is Smith, your letter J, for example, you'll verify their name as it stands there. You'll verify their school. That's important because sometimes we do have two students with the same name that go to two different schools, so it'll be important that you verify that. As well, I would like to have them initial on that sheet, on that alpha list. I'd like to have them initial by their name. If there are problems with anything, whether it be the spelling of their name, what school they're attributed to, maybe they can't find their name, maybe they're on there twice, anything like that, just send them over to the contest office. Where you picked up the packet earlier, just kind of tell them how to get there and say you're going to need to go see somebody in the contest office, and we'll either walk them back down personally or we'll send them back down with a written note that clarifies that we fixed the spelling of their name, something of that nature. So just want to make sure that we're very clear on those processes. As well, you're going to let the student know when they check in with you what time they need to be back. Now, the vast majority of students you're going to have come back at about 5:30. There will be some, and you'll see it'll be clearly written on there if you have a later block. And sometimes in larger audition rounds, or if you're hearing multiple instruments in a room, it'll say on the sheet, tell these students to return to 5:30, these students to return at 6 o'clock, 6:50, something like that. So again, each room is a little bit different, but you'll look and it'll be on the instructions of your packet, so it should be fairly simple. Some other just kind of things that we need to watch out for is that we don't ever want to assign a student a letter like ourselves. If we go, oh, there's a letter that's empty over, let that be done through the contest office, because that way we can really carefully register it. Same thing if a student says, oh, I'm supposed to be signed up but I didn't, just send them to the contest office. We will deal with that. All of that has to run through us just so that we can keep the best records possible. So just make sure that you're sending them our way. And there you can see my continued note on, again, there will be some people who are hearing, for example, you might be hearing flute and piccolo. And so it may say piccolos come back at 5:30, and there might only be 4 of them. And then it'll say flutes be there at 6 o'clock or something. It just prevents things from stacking up too badly, and we try to approximate times. We might be off by 5 or 10 minutes on their return times, but hopefully it all works out and keeps the process moving along fairly nicely. As well, with an audition round, there will be students who who are on your list who don't show up. They just never arrive for whatever reason. Maybe they're sick, maybe they're ineligible since their director signed them up. Whatever happened, we refer to them in the TMEA world as DNAs, meaning they did not arrive. And so you may hear the judges say, monitor, do we have any DNAs? And you could tell the judges, letter F is not here, letter G is not here, etc., so that they could know that. If you have a student who's arriving late to a round, again, send them to the contest office and we will make the decision based on what TMEA would allow in terms of that. So, it's not your place to have to make a judgment call on that. If you've started the round and you see a student come up to the door and maybe they get your attention by waving at the window, or they knock on the door in between rounds, and you go over there and say, I'm supposed to be in this round, say, I'm sorry, you have to go to the contest office, and they can advise you on what you can do. Before the auditions begin, I think it's really clear to be good with both your judging panel and with the students in the hallway, and I'll go over that process in a second, about who's not there. So realize that while in a perfect world your order would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, chances are that's not going to be clean. It's going to be, you're going to have A, B, and C, then F, then G, then I. So there are going to be some no-shows as well. Just so you know, the system that we use from TMEA automatically inserts extra letters just for emergency reasons and stuff like that. So there's not a chance that it could be a perfect round. Like, there will always be skipped letters in the process. It's good to tell your judges not who the students are, but what letters they're not hearing. Helps them keep their score sheets clean. As well, when you're getting the students checked in, just to verify somebody didn't sneak in at the last second and not sign in with you, you can check their letters down the line. By 5:45, the judges should be in the room. Again, you lined up the students out in the hallway at 5:30, and you held them out there until the judges got loaded into the room. They're going to be behind a curtain, and they can't see the students. Make sure that the judges are all set and ready. Nobody needs a last-minute restroom break. Everybody has all the supplies they need and that kind of stuff before bringing the students into the room. You'll have the students lined up in the hall in order from letter A back to letter, let's say it goes to letter M. So have letter A to letter M lined up in the hallway in their audition letter order. You'll bring them into the room. I would advise seating them in audition letter order. That's up to you if you want to go across the front of the room and then back, because there'll be just regular student desks in the room. Or if you want to go down the columns, A, B, C, D, E, and then the next column of desks is F, G, whatever system, you take a look at the room and see what you think would work best for you. The students will come up one at a time, and they will play the assigned excerpt. Now, the judges will cover the assigned excerpts. You don't need to do any of that with them. They'll come forward and they'll play their assigned excerpt. Now, round one will start with letter A, just because that's the easiest way to do that, and it'll go all the way through the first excerpt through the last student in the room at that time. The second round, in fairness to letter A, should not start again with letter A. So this time we start what we would approximate to be about a third of the way down. About 1/3 of the way down, you'll start, so maybe it's letter F, maybe it's letter G, somewhere in there, depending on how many you have. We'll start the second round with that one. We'll go, let's say it's letter F all the way to the end of the room, then back around to A, and then through to E, and then we'll stop there. And then the third round will start about 2/3 of the way down. So again, it prevents us from starting on the same child every time, which can be kind of stressful. If you're doing the percussion room, just so you're aware, that one's a little different. At CHS, Mr. Shear will be in there for that, and he will help advise you because it's just a slightly different process. Prior to each of the excerpt, the students are allowed to play a first note. And again, you don't have to deal with any of this. The judges are going to be monitoring it, but just so you're aware, they can play the first note, and then they'll play their assigned portion of the audition music. After about 5 performers, and again, the math won't always be perfect, after about 5 performers, you can say, everyone take a 20-second warm-up. And for about 20 seconds, and again, you don't have to time this on a stopwatch or anything, it's just about 20 seconds. I usually just count backwards from 20. For about 20 seconds, they can take a 20-second warm-up, then just stand up, hold your hand up high in the air, think like elementary school getting their attention, and then once you do that, they'll all stop playing, and then you can resume with the next student. I put on here that no phones, no iPods, iPads, laptops, recording devices, none of that is allowed. The device I pictured there, that single function, the one you probably remember your child using in middle school, that single function metronome device, that can be used in the room, and it cannot be used where you can hear it. It can only be used with the volume all the way down. There are a couple of other products on the market that look similar to it, but again, I think like some of them are black, some of them are blue, some of them are silver. They'll roughly look the same. So you kind of get the idea. And if you have a question about it, you can always show it to a judge and say, is it okay if a student's using this? But 99% of the time, we never have issues with these things. After everyone is finished in round number 1, just so you know, we're not going to allow anybody to come in late. That's not something you have to deal with. Just send them to the contest office and we will communicate with them and with their band director. Once everybody's finished playing, you'll have the students exit the audition room. They can't speak at that time. They need to be quiet until they exit. Please have them direct any questions. And really, this is over the course of the whole thing. The student should never be allowed to directly address the judges just because it takes some of the anonymity out of it. So I would rather, if there's a question, they can kind of whisper it to you really quietly, and then you can go ask the judges. Or if it's something where they're even struggling with that, you could take them in the hallway and they could ask you, and then you could go back in and ask the judges. So again, it's important that as monitors, we act as an intermediary to keep that veil of anonymity between the judging panel and the students when it comes to questions and things of that nature. As each student plays, I think it's important to make sure that we state clearly what their letter is, and I'll give you a sheet of B as in Bravo, A as in Alpha, C as in Charlie, what have you, so that you can give those just to make sure that we're done. I always start and end, so I'll say, judges, this is A as in Apple, and A will play, and at the end I'll say, judges, that was A as in Apple, next is B as in Banana, and then we'll go forward from there. So just kind of as you're thinking about the announcing process, you can flow through it that way. And again, I'll have a little flow through chart for you for that night. As everybody's leaving the room, remind the students to take all of their personal belongings. Just kind of look around the desk, make sure they haven't left anything behind. As well, once they've left, go back and check in with the judges, see if they're all done, if they need anything else. Your monitor folder, the folder you use to check them in after you're all done for the night, if you'll bring that back to us, it's not essential that we have it super fast. It's just essential that we have it so that if there's a question about who signed in and who didn't, that we can verify that for you. If you encounter a behavior problem in the room, you can just let the judges know. I wouldn't let them know a letter. I would just say, I have a student who's talking out of turn, who's doing whatever. Chances are they're going to tell you to come get one of us out of the contest office, so we'll come deal with that. Please make sure that the students in your room, but as well as in the hallway, if things get a little noisy in between two students, you can step into the hallway and remind those students to be quiet as well. You can always, and I'll make sure that night that you have my cell number. You can always text me, say, Mr. Miller, there's a problem in the hall outside of D218. Can you please come down here? And I will come deal with that very quickly. If you observe disturbances, I always like for you to make notes about it. You can always approach it as a parent in a very non-threatening way. Just say, I need you to be quiet while the other students are playing, or whatever the issue might be. But also make a note of in your folder, letter D had to be reminded 3 times to not talk, or something like that, because we'll follow up with the director going forward into subsequent rounds to make sure that their student knows what our behavior expectations are. Again, I want to thank you. This is a really important role in the TMEA audition process. I don't want you to be nervous about this role at all. It's very simple to do. And the best thing is you have 5 judges back there who have all done this. We've all served as monitors on panels, and we all know the challenges of. So as you're going through the process, if you have questions, if you need assistance, they are your best people to say, what do I do next? What do I do now? How do you want me to handle this? Again, but as the monitor, the most important role you serve is that you protect the anonymity of the students auditioning, so that at no one time does a judge know who trumpet letter F was, or what school trumpet letter G might have come from. Keeps it very anonymous, which keeps the process very fair. Again, thank you so much for doing this. I look forward to working with you, and we'll meet again the night of the audition and talk some more, and I'll answer any questions that you have at that time. Thank you very much.